very warm welcome to the form where the countdown is on for a huge afternoon of racing coming out of Te Rapa. We'll be getting into that with Brendan Popplewell. Not only that, but of course we look forward to Group 1 action out of New South Wales and Victoria. So on the agenda today, we'll start with Brendan Popplewell to look at that very strong Te Rapa meeting. Before we get to Craig Grylls, he talks us through all his rides across Te Rapa and Hawke's Bay. Then a switch to the harness, but sticking with the Craig theme as we welcome in Craig Thompson and Matt Cross. And then last but by no means least, wrapping things up with Alicia Collett, who has a great book of rides out of New South Wales at that premier meeting at Brandon. Well, it's a really exciting day coming out of Te Rapa, of course, with some fantastic fields engaged. Brendan, it's something to look forward to, isn't it? Because we've got Group 1 performers galore, as well as some very talented three-year-olds lining up at Te Rapa.
Oh, it's a special day, and it has been for so long, Emily, too. This day before Hawke's Bay, which traditionally has been the day before the last day of the Spring Carnival, but of course we're only up to day number 2, coming towards Saturday's Spring Carnival, but just a good race meeting. Horses that we have been waiting for to return as three-year-olds, horses that we're looking towards better races in the season in terms of our open handicappers. So there really is just everything you want around this race day coming up.
Let's start with a preview of some of those key races before we get into our best and value bets. We'll start with race number 4, the three-year-old race at set weights and penalties. When you look at those names lining up, Palamos, a horse we haven't seen for many months, Turn the Ace, of course, a stakes winner, even horses like Mille Fiore. It certainly is interesting, and I'm really intrigued to hear how you've measured these up.
Yeah, well, today, Emily, where first of all, the rail is out in the 9 metres, and I think that's a key punting point of view with the race meeting there coming up this afternoon. And also the chance of it being a track condition that is in that dead bracket, maybe dead 5, dead 6, somewhere around there. So as we know, Te Rapa can play on speed at times, and we'll be watching for any type of pattern if that's the case with that rail movement coming out the 9 metres from the innermost. In this race, I as you said, Emily, there's so many good chances here. I went with Turn the Ace. His run last start was disappointing when he was only able to beat 2 horses home, and he was eased down actually quite a long way from home in the El Roca, but that just it wasn't his day. It was a race where it was run on a slow weight surface. You know, you can try and put up a number of different reasons why he did fail on that occasion, but he does come back to a venue where he's won twice from his 2 current starts at Te Rapa. He was able to win a stakes race there. He also has a good draw where he's drawn in barrier number 5, where we have seen him land up on speed, and that could be an important aspect to this race if he can sit in front of most of his key rivals and get that right run in the race. So I've gone with him just in front of Palamos, who's got that awkward draw. Very quiet trials. I like how he's returned. If he can overcome his wide draw, I mean, he's second favourite to win the 2,000 guineas, is Palamos. He'll be the one that would be screaming over the top of them. Arisha Reese was very good in her Topor victory. She's a horse that's a 3-year filly by contributor. And the 3-year-old by Lonro in Paria Nui Bay is a horse that I'm really looking forward to seeing. He was so quiet in his trial, but he won so easily at the same time. This one trained by Tony Pike and Michael McNabb aboard. A lot around the race. I'm with Turn the Ace just with that barrier draw advantage.
Yeah, good stuff. And race number 6 is the open handicap. We've got horses the likes of Mascarpone, Brando, Hypnos, all lining up. I was really keen on Mascarpone, just like you say, with the rail out and being right there on speed should suit.
It should, shouldn't it? And look, let's not take anything away. He was devastatingly good in the Foxbridge, wasn't he? And beating horses that we have seen go on and run well in the Tarzino. And of course, horses will be talking about his chances in the Windsor Park Plate. He operates well at this venue. He's had 5 starts here for 2 wins, 2 minor placings. He has an awkward barrier draw to overcome, but he's a horse who can naturally put himself there. And over the 1,200 metres, can he overcome the widest gate in this race is the question mark, with that extra weight that he will have to carry against some of his rivals. I'm going to go with Brando just. I think Brando is one of those horses we're still waiting to be really justified for this boom tag that he's got. But he's a horse who's trialled up really nicely. We know that he was narrowly beaten in a Levin Classic as a 3-year-old when finishing into second position. we know he's got it all there, and if he puts together this preparation, he could really develop into a serious horse. He's got the 54 kilograms with a light weight. Those sort of things might be just enough to see him get over the top here against some very rock-hardened, good open handicappers. I mean, we've got She's All Mine, a Group 3 listed winner with a good draw. She can land herself in front. Hypnos, a Copeland's winner. You've got Demonetization, a horse who won an Easter handicap, and the Mitigator, who's a Group 1 winner of a Thorndon Mile. Everything about this race tells you it's very deep and strong, but Brando just over Mascarpone, and maybe She's All Mine can be that speed influence who could give a really big sight.
And then we've got race 8, another open handicap, but over the mile this time. And there's a number of stayers here that are sort of making a case at the distance of the mile. Tell us which one you're keen on.
Yeah, it's a race where it could set up nicely for the Livermore Classic in a couple of weeks, where horses will be looking to head back that way. Of course, Ocean Billy is after this race will be heading to Australia with the Caulfield Cup in mind. I've gone with Cheval Promoteur to maybe turn the tables on Communique. Of course, Communique dive bombed at Cheval Promoteur on the first day of the Hawke's Bay Spring Carnival, and she was able to get him. There is a swing in the weights here in this race coming up on Friday, where Cheval Promoteur goes up half a kilo, but Communique will also go up 2 kilos on that particular run. Cheval Promoteur is a horse who can put himself in the run, as we've spoken about already, with where he can sit in maps, so that will be in his favour. So I'll go Cheval Promoteur. Savion Blanc Communique. I feel as though Savion Blanc is ready to do something second up over this type of distance of 1,600 metres. She shouldn't be too far away, and maybe that'll signal that she's going to be right on target for a Livermore Classic if that's the case. So 3 on top, Cheval Promoteur, with the big dangers being Savion Blanc and Communique.
And as we get to your best and value bet, Brendan, we speak about Cheval Promoteur again, don't we?
Yeah, I'll go with Cheval Promoteur. More of a safe selection because you know what you're going to get with this horse. He's a horse who can put himself in the race. He's a runner that's in very good up and running form at the moment. He's raced so strongly through the latter part of the winter and into the early part of the spring. So I'll run with him as my best bet. He operates well at the distance and here at this venue. So I was keen around Cheval Promoteur as my best bet.
And then a value bet. You're treating us to 2 value bets, Brendan. What did we owe this pleasure?
Purely undecided, Emily, and there is a lot of value to be found, I think, here at this race meeting. So we'll go race 1 in Powwow as the first of my value chances. He is a horse that's untapped. He's only had 3 race day starts. He was beaten last time out on the synthetic, but he was a very good trialist. I love the way that he attacked the line in his most recent trial. There's just something about Powwow that I like about him. Again, he is a horse who can sit on speed. There does look to be a lot of pressure in this first race, but he can sit in or near the speed. So I was happy to be with him, Powwow. And the track condition shouldn't be an issue. And if it does rain on the day, that won't be a problem for him as well, Powwow. So race 1, number 11. And then on to race 2. There's 2 maiden 3-year-old races to look out for on the program. I'm going to go for Glory Bound, and I did like how she rounded off her race last start. She was slow away, and she was very good to finish into second position over 1,200 metres. Goes to 1,400 metres. March Hand will take all the support with how that horse boomed home last time out. Also, Emily, have something very small on this horse each way in the 1,000 guineas. She's at $51 to win and $15 for a top 3. I know it's a long way out, but you have to sometimes play these sort of horses at bigger prices to see if you can get to the big dance and have a ticket on these runners at sort of $50, $60. So, look, I'm having a little nibble on her in the 1,000 guineas Glory Bound.
Love it. Love your work, Brendan. Thanks so much, and enjoy that top quality meeting out of Te Rapa this afternoon.
Yeah, can't wait, Emily.
Well, Craig Grills links in with us on the form this morning to talk through what is going to be a busy 2 days of riding, Craig. Let's start with Te Rapa, and it's come up a really good meeting, as we say. Very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Emily. Busy couple of days coming up, but we're getting into the good time of the year with the good racing. So really looking forward to it.
Let's go through them in racebook order. We'll start with race number 2, the 8 Glory Bound at Te Rapa. 1 start for a second. Looked a little bit green, but still a nice performance.
Yeah, quite a bit of confidence in the camp with her going into her first start. like I say, Mana Nui was sort of put the hammer down and got away from her, and she did chase quite hard, but wanted to lay and do a couple of things wrong. But she's a really nice filly that all the team at Valachi got quite a high opinion of. So we're hoping she can go through the grades and possibly head down towards the 1,000 guineas route.
Was it your opinion that she was a little bit green, that she'll take some good benefit from that fresh run or debut run?
Yeah, like it's probably the first time she's really come off the bridle and had to be asked for an effort. So she possibly just got a little bit lost, but she's in the end she was still finding the line quite nice. So she's drawn out a little bit, but probably won't do too much on her early, and hopefully she can get through the line again. Good on Friday.
Race number 3, the 11 Royal Rock, who's third up, ran on okay, a first ride, and gets the addition of sidewinkers, which can often help.
Yeah, definitely sharpen them up. Like I say, it's first time for me sitting on, but form hasn't looked too bad. It was a good first up run this prep, like you say, running third, and then the 7 probably wasn't as bad as what it probably reads on paper. It wasn't too far off them. It's drawn out a little bit again, but I'm sure if we can just tuck into hopefully somewhere, and hopefully the horse can find the line quite nicely. Stephen's team's firing up quite nicely too at the moment, which is good.
Yeah. Race number 4, the 8, Aris. 1 start for 1 win. You can't argue with that form line, can you? Very strong effort there at Taupo.
It was. She's a funny little filly. She's not much to look at, and she's her 2 trials before her first start were both winners as well. She's been quite a bit of a surprise package. She comes up against a very, very strong field, which is going to really test where she's at. But she's drawn a nice low gate to get a good run, and definitely can't fault her on her work coming into this today.
And then race 5, number 3, Superiority, an 8-year-old, just with the 2 starts, interesting contender. Just a flop last time, and I know you mentioned to the stewards about the track conditions not being suitable, but tell us a little bit more about that effort. Yeah, so
he drew a wide gate, he jumped very good, and the plan was to sort of ride him handy, so he did end up right up there. I just think, me and Trevor both were talking about it afterwards, and said that, like it's been a long time since he'd been to the races. He had a heavy weight, and also the track probably wasn't to his liking. And like when he won impressively, that was only a maiden grade, so he did have to go up to a Saturday, a strong Saturday 65 race. So Trevor said he's pulled up from the race really, really well. He's really, really happy with them, and he's drawn a better gate as well, which is he should get a more economical run.
Race 6, number 7 is Brando, obviously a Group 1 place getter, and a horse that is very well known in racing circles. Having its first run this campaign, you did ride him in that middle trial, 1 of 3. What did you take away from him?
Yeah, he's a lovely horse. I'm very happy to be riding him. He's a beautiful entire, this fella. Yeah, that middle trial where I rode him at Cambridge, he just sort of sat back off them, come around the bend on the poly track, and he balanced up, and he let down really nice. Like it was just sort of under a bit of a hold. It wasn't didn't have to ask him for too much of an effort, but he's obviously a class horse in the field. Gets in on the minimum weight too, which is going to be a big advantage for him. Talking to Jamie just at the track work the other morning, he said he's really, really happy with the way he's going.
That's a positive for you, isn't it, as well? Race 7, number 11, Farsight, has the inside draw. You got that last start second over the 2,000 metres, and it looks like you find another really suitable race.
Yeah. I said to Peter Didham after I got off at Hastings the other week, I said, please let me know where this one's going to go next. So I was quite impressed with her. I didn't get the best of the runs. I drew wide, and it was a muddling race, and I was sort of backing wide, but she's come into it and actually looked like the winner for a bit, but the leader kept kicking, and it was her first run over ground. So Peter said, she'd take a lot of improvement out of it. She's drawn a really good gate. Should hopefully just be off behind them, and with that 2,000 metre run under her belt now, fitness shouldn't be an issue. And Peter's team's flying at the moment. He's having a really good run.
What do you do in terms of where you want to sit? You probably don't want to get that far off them again. Do you want to put yourself maybe a little bit more into it?
Yeah, I'll wait and see what Peter says, but I'm imagining from that draw, if you could be a couple of pairs back, would be an ideal spot, and hopefully just get a clear run from there.
Race 8, number 6 is Communique, a ride that you've pinched off your sister. That was a really good win last time, wasn't it? Coming around the field and finishing it off so strongly, and obviously you know this horse pretty well.
good to get back on her. But she's going really good too in her track work. I know Steve and Chris were looking to go to the 2,000 metre open race at Hastings on Saturday, but they opted to keep her for the mile. She's still quite fresh and well in herself, so she's a sort of horse you just leave her to find her feet early, and she's got a really, really good turn of foot. She's been one of the flag bearers for the stable over the last season or two. She's always very about. She's very consistent.
And then race 9, number 9 is Kiwiana. You've got a horrific draw, but I noticed that 8th last time, not quite as bad as it looks on the page. Only beaten just a couple of lengths, Craig.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure if Steve said he was going to run or not from that draw, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, like you say, it wasn't too far off them. She can be a little bit hit and miss, but when she throws in a good one, she does throw in a good one.
Put you on the spot now. What would be your best winning ride for Te Rapa on Friday?
I'd say, yeah, there's a little bit of a hard one. I'd say Brando, hopefully. I mean, he is first up, but he is definitely the class horse of the field, that's for sure, I think.
And then if we move on to Hastings, so we'll go through them in racebook order as well. Race 1, number 12, Mabuse. That last start 5th over the mile and up to 2,100 should be a plus.
Yeah, it's first time for me riding this one, but like I say, it wasn't a bad 5th last time over the mile. Steps up to probably a more favourable distance for the horse. So it's drawn a bit of a bad alley, but I guess we have to find a feet, and hopefully they run along at a good tempo and can get over the top of them.
Race 2, number 13 is Lady Koval. In comparison, a horse that you do know relatively well. Last time we spoke to you, we were talking about this filly. 1 start, 1 win. And what did you make of that victory there on the Cambridge Synthetic?
Yeah, she's a really nice type. I was quite impressed just with her physique, how she's built up and what she did. It was probably like the plan that day was to sort of be positive on her, but even in hindsight, we were talking afterwards, it's probably not the best way to ride her. She's probably a better chaser, but she got away with it on the poly the other day. I think she's going to be more suited to the grass track at Hastings, and we've probably drawn a nicer gate to sort of get a couple of spots back. And I'm sure just the feeling she gave me, she's got a really, really nice turn of foot. She's a very nice type.
Race 3, number 8 is Joe's Legacy. Great last campaign, picking up that Kanmai Stakes victory, and fresh up here over the 1,300. But I do notice that Camper did a good one in a fresh state, which is a plus for you.
Yeah, he does normally go good, pretty fresh. I think with some of these other runners, it's a very good field. It's possibly going to be a little bit sharp for him, but I haven't sat on him in any track work recently, but I've seen him. He looks pretty bright and well there. The old boy looks really good, and he gets in on nice lightweight on the minimum, and he's on a nice enough gate. So I'd say they might run him off his feet a little bit, but I'm sure he'll be getting home good.
And then race 4, number 4 is Wild West, resumed on a slow track over the 1,300 metres, and you do get a better draw this time.
Yeah, and I'm talking to Denisa. She said that he's improved a lot with that running under his belt, so he's going to strip a bit fitter with this. He has been pretty consistent in his last prep. He was always sort of just off the money or right there. So he should be an improver's run from last time, that's for sure.
Race 5, number 11 is Kahu Rock. Past 2 runs have been really good, including that third at the track at that latest outing. You do have to step up to an open handicap. Is that a concern, or feel you can handle that?
Yeah, that probably is going to be a concern. It's a big jump in grade. It's always a bit harder going up into open handicap, but gets him with the lightweight. That's a good advantage, I guess, of going up grade. You do carry less weight, but it's probably going to be a little bit tougher going up in grade.
And then in the Hawke's Bay Guineas, race 6, number 13 is Hoard the Bourbon. I love that the blinkers go on this horse, and I know that the stable have a high opinion of him. What's been your feedback with regards to picking up this ride?
Yeah, well, when Stephen phoned me to ride this bloke, he said, he goes, look, I know he's only a maidener, but don't worry about that. He goes, we've got a big opinion of him, and we really do like him. And he also mentioned, as you said, blinkers have gone up. So yeah, he reassured me that he is capable for a maidener of taking this sort of race out. So, when Stephen says things like that, he's normally not far off wrong. So that gives me a lot of confidence.
Race 7, number 9 is Ruby Rocks. You get back up to the mile with this one, Craig, and that last win was over the mile, so that's a plus.
Yeah, I rode this girl on the first day, and I had a how would you put it? I probably didn't ride it that good, to be fair. I got caught wide, and I sort of I should have just sort of stayed back and tried to slot it. Instead, I tried to go forward, and I didn't have any luck at all. So she got tired, as she was probably entitled to do. But so she's going to improve with that. Going up to the mile is going to suit too. But I did win on her during I think it might have been Wellington Cup Day last year, and that was a very good effort that day. So she has got a lot of ability. She's always put her hand up when she's is very capable.
And race 9, number 5, I'm Buzz, fresh up and wrapped up last prep with a victory. And those trials in preparation, they've been really good. Have you been happy with them?
Yeah, he's coming along really good. This bloke. I've ridden him in both his trials at Cambridge leading up to this. He was going to run the first day, but he made the field, but he drew wide, and then they decided to scratch. So they gave him another trial last week, and then put him in for Hastings. So they were both very good trials too. Like he's normally sort of gets back and fights through the line, but he's very, very keen and sort of wanted to do it. But he still changed legs and had a good turn of foot. So he's going really good. I'm surprised he could be right there, I think.
And the side wink has come off for the fresh effort. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think like the horse himself, he's just very, very well in himself. So he's just bouncing. Like I rode him in a gallop the other morning. He's just feeling really good. So I think he probably just doesn't need them. He's just how he's feeling so good. He wants to do it at the moment. So it's really good.
And for Hastings, have you got a ride that you're most looking forward to, or a winning chance, if you could label it?
I'm actually really looking forward to ride on Buzz, actually. Just the way he's been going in his trials and his work that I've ridden him in. I think he's going to go a big one. Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Thanks so much for your time, Craig, and best of luck over those 2 days. Some really exciting rides to look forward to.
Thanks very much, Emily. Cheers.
Well, we've got the pleasure of Craig Thompson and Matt Cross joining us on the form this week, and we've got plenty of action to preview, haven't we? Because we've got a really big night of racing. Let's get across to Craig. Very good morning to you, Craig, and really looking forward to that Canterbury Classic at Addington. It's attracted a really hot field.
It has, Emily. Good morning to you and to Matt as well, sitting in his car looking very smart this morning. Looking forward to it. It is Group 2. It's Road to the Cup again, another edition, and of course we've got the Cup winner, Self Assured, first time back after a couple of trials, Emily, and great to have him here. Adds interest with the race, along with South Coast Arden and a couple others that we'll talk about this race. But I mean, he won it last year, Emily. I think personally he's probably a little bit more forward than last year. He's only had the couple of trials, but did like what I've seen. Not sure about the $2 that the bookmakers have put up yesterday about him. I think there's still that query about his standing start manners. I've watched his 2 trials. He's got away, but he's tended to bound away from the standing start, come down pacing, and got into his groove. From where he's drawn, he couldn't afford to catch it on the back foot. So as good as he is, and I think he's going really well at the moment, I do think he's vulnerable, and I think the horse that possibly could get him this week is Pembroke Playboy. As I said to you when we did a Hannah Memorial preview a couple of weeks ago, I thought maybe just a soft trial going into that, and a couple of others with race day fitness, the likes of Henry Hubert and Classy Brigade, may have the edge on him. Wasn't the case. He actually never got a go at them. He finished hard held on the back of the winner. I thought his manners are great. I mean, you've got to go back to February this year. He beat Self Assured in a race in February, beat Home Classy Brigade that night. He's beaten the good ones. He won the Invercargill Cup. He's a pretty serious horse. So in my summation, Emily, I think he's the horse to beat. And second favourite, he's backable at around 360, just on South Coast Arden, the Northerner. Matt will touch on his trial on Wednesday. He called that trial, but I thought he was quite good. He gives away a bit of an advantage being on the unruly. There's a great driver aboard, though. That negates a lot of issues in Natalie. And I think he's a horse come cup time that he's going to be a real contender. Just interesting to see how forward he is at this week, Matt. It's a race in 3 with me, but I'll lean to Pembroke Playboy with a run under his belt. I think this week it's time to get a bit of respect, Matt. I don't think they'll be handing to anybody this week if he finds the front. I think you've got to make a statement, and I think Nathan will do so this week.
I totally agree with you, Craig, and I've got him as the top selection in the race. Pembroke Playboy is running the Hannon was excellent. Just in terms of how the start might unfold, you've got Classy Brigade off the inside who has excellent early speed. I expect him to lead the race early. That Alexander guy drawn barrier 2, not fast out. Henry Hubert, hit or miss. Self-assured, hit or miss probably in his first run back. But Pembroke Playboy, you just about say he's foolproof off the stand. So I think he'll settle himself in the first 2, whether that be on the back of Classy Brigade early or in front of him. He's going to be in a really potent spot, Pembroke Playboy, and I don't see there being too much pressure other than maybe South Coast Arden if he's fast away. So Pembroke Playboy, I think he's a real good horse. He's up to these top liners. A late 4-year-old in the old term, he'd be a 5-year-old. So this is his year to shine, and I really think he's up to them. And he's a genuine cup contender this year, Pembroke Playboy. Really good trainer and driver on board in Nathan Williamson. I really look forward to seeing what he can produce second up. So he's very backable, as you say, at the $3.60 price. You have to respect Self-Assured. Could be somewhat vulnerable in terms of how the race is being run. I wouldn't expect him to be driven with urgency in the Canterbury Classic. He'll find himself into a posse and he'll be powering home late. South Coast Arden's trial was good. He had a good gawk around at the start, put in a couple of fancy steps, then paced, found the lead. He was very relaxed on the top end. I don't think he'll be 100% screwed down, but he's a class horse. We saw his run on the Harness Jewels was that of a horse who was going to turn into a really good star. You've got to have him in. And Henry Hubert, how could you leave him out after his run in the Hannon Memorial the other day? The starts is his enigma, though. It's his Achilles heel. He has to pick the start in this race. He can't afford to do what he did in the Hannon and expect to be winning it. If he is fast away and can head off Classy Brigade early or maybe sit on his back, he'll be trail all 3 back the inside the entire way and is a genuine top 3 contender. But I have a genuine feeling that Pembroke Playboy will turn into a really, really good top-line pacer. And as you say, this is his chance to earn a little bit of respect. And I think he can win this year's Canterbury Classic, Emily.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matt. That was a preview of the Canterbury Classic, but we also wanted to have a little chat about race 6 on the card, which is, of course, that key handicap trot. Craig, we'll come back to you. What do you make of the field and how things are going to pan out for this one?
Yeah, shortest price favourite of the night will go around here, Emily, in the form of Sunday Sun. Obviously, Dominion handicap bound and fantastic performance to win last start. Anything above 2,400 metres is just ideal for him. 2,600, even off a 30-metre handicap, small field, 6 other runners. I couldn't back him at $1.35, Emily, but I certainly couldn't tip against him. I think he's one of those multi-runners that you run through your multis and look for a galloper on the weekend or a sports event that you like. He's just a class act. He is our best trotter, and I think he'll win again. So to summarise that, I think he's a good thing. So what are you doing finding a little bit of value outside him? I think Midnight Dash is a very, very good 4-year-old trotter. And a tough year when you've got Bolt for Brilliance and a few others like Muscle Mountain. His sectionals out of Sunday Sun's run last week were really good. We talked about Mataderos running good sectionals going into the Banks Peninsula Trotting Cup. Midnight Dash was actually the fastest horse home in Sunday Sun's race a fortnight ago. He ran him in 55.8 and he didn't get a lot of room in the run home. He was 4 back on the fence. I expect him actually to be at the top end of this field because there's not a lot of speed off the stand here. The Dominator, Chief of Staff and Woodstone, a couple of them can gallop off the stand, and he's off 10. Potentially, he could be at the top end of the field after 800 metres. So he's got a really good top 2 chance. I don't think he'll beat Sunday Sun, but I think he'll be the most dangerous horse in the race to him. And then you talk about the old warhorse, Majestic Man. He's back. He's going around for his about 4th season of racing in the top grade. He's a very good horse, went to Australia, came back again. I think his main target, Emily, will be the Flying Mile at Ashburton. He's such a good short distance horse. I don't expect him to win on Friday night, but I expect him to go a very good race with a target of, say, a short distance mile in about 2 weeks' time. So Sunday Sun to beat Midnight Dash, intriguing race. Just good to have our best trotter in New Zealand back on track, Matt.
I went out to John Dunn's, the Robert and Jenna Dunn base at Diamond Racing on Tuesday, and I spent about 2.5 hours out there putting a couple of stories together for Trackside, and got to see Sunday's Son in the flesh, and I can tell you he's an absolute brute. He just looks like a good horse, and had a good chat to John Dunn about him. They gave him a brief let-up post his most recent win. So he put out a little bit of a flag of caution around Sunday's Son in terms of his fitness being 100% screwed down. He said he can obviously win the race, but he did alert punters just to tread cautiously around him. So that sort of puts me in a mindset, Craig, of maybe backing a couple of others. I think that the top 3 price around Chief of Staff is very backable. His run in the DG Jones on Sunday was excellent, finishing into second. That was his first run for about 3.5 weeks. So he'll be a big improver fitness-wise. Starts off the front. His run 2 starts back at Addington off the 30 metres. It was a mammoth effort. His final 2,400 of that run was excellent. So he's a bet on a place line, Chief of Staff. I think that the bookies are giving you overs around him. And I agree with your thoughts around Midnight Dash as a possible value win bet in the race. There's no question whatsoever that Sunday's Son is the best horse in the race, and the small field is certainly going to suit him, but don't expect him to be 100% screwed down after a little bit of a let-up post his most recent run. So he's a no bet for me, Sunday's Son. He can win the race. Happy to play around the place price of Chief of Staff and maybe a little win play on Midnight Dash. He's a pretty smart horse and a newcomer to the open class ranks. And like I said to you last time we spoke on the forum, I'm really looking forward to seeing how these 4-year-olds match up with the goodies.
Thanks for that, Matt. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. Going to put you both on the spot to give me your bets for the meeting. Craig, we'll start with you. How are you playing the day?
Emily, there's a couple of real shorties on the day. I do like one in the last, maybe depending on what price you can get. But I do like a horse called Franco Mac. He's fresh up here from the Hayden Cullen barn, now the Mark Purden Hayden Cullen barn. He's third favourite for the Sire Stakes behind his stablemate Franco Indy. And he went to the trials first up about a fortnight ago. I love the way he's come back. He's a much bigger horse. He wasn't a natural 2-year-old, but he really has grown. He was excellent in that trial. He's drawn the second row. Natalie's only got 2 drives on the day, South Coast Dart and this one. I think she's sticking around to drive this one later in the program. He goes okay. Again, depending on what price you're getting as we're filming this in the morning, I do think he can win, and I think he's a nice bet in the last. My value bet's a horse called Darla Gary. It's in a race that there is 7 or 8 winning chances, Matt. I have no idea how this race is going to pan out, but I thought there's a lot of speed in this race. Sounds like Cash can leave the gate. Glenthorne can leave the gate. I just wondered if it would set it up for something that was a swooper. I liked his trial the other day. He gets in here as a high-rated horse. He doesn't win that often, Darla Gary, but he'll be double-figure odds, and I'm quite happy to play him if I was getting 15 to 1.
Well, I'm going to go and stick with Darling Me, Craig. I thought her run the other day, she had no right to win from where she was, chasing down a quality mare in stylish Memphis. You've got Deny Everything, who's taking a bit of a step up in class. He ran time here last time, which is the suggestion that he's a very good horse. But I just think Darling Me might have the wood over him. And the bookmakers haven't put that price out yet, but I thought that she was very backable, and I've made her the best on the program on Friday night. Race 10, number 7, Darling Me. The way that she presented last week, physically, she looked fantastic, and the way that she found the line suggested that she's right on song to go through the grades, Darling Me. So race 10, number 7, Darling Me. Maybe play the Quinella option around Deny Everything, who has the inside draw, but it is a little bit of a step up. And the most open race of the night for mine, Craig, is race number 9. It is the rating 40 to 54 trot over the 2,600. I think bookies might let one fly under the radar a little bit here. And number 5, Idle Stewartia, starts off the front row, comes back to the stand. She's generally very fast away off the tapes. Horses to her inside can do things wrong, so I think she'll find the pegs. Sliding blinds go on. If she's 1, 2, 3, the pylons, and bookies give you something around that $12 to $15 mark, and I think she's an each-way bet in race number 9 and a decent blowout chance on the program. I tell you what, it's one of the best nights of racing that we've had there all year. Some of those races are incredibly tricky to work out. In terms of finding some value without the markets coming out, it's sort of hard to tell, but I think bookies will give you a good price, Emily, around race 9, number 5, Idle Stewartia.
Great stuff. A big thank you to you both for coming on today. Awesome information as always, and enjoy the meeting. Pleasure to welcome into the form this morning Alicia Collett, who's joining us from across the ditch. And Alicia, we catch up with you at a pretty exciting time because you've got some top rides in Group 1s coming up this weekend.
Yeah, look, we decided to make the move into the city this weekend, being a couple of lightweight chances in the Metrop and Epsom. So, look, we're looking forward to it. Got great rides in those races also. And yeah, there's a lot happening over here with a lot not happening also.
Yeah. Tell me about the process to be able to ride in the city, because it hasn't been straightforward, has it?
No, it hasn't. Look, we have inner and outer zones here at the moment. So I originally was in the outer zone of Sydney, living on the Central Coast for the last sort of 2 months. But I've decided, obviously, now changing back to the inner zone, we have to do 5 days quarantine, give 2 negative tests, and then we're allowed to ride in the inner zone. And look, if I was to move back to the other zone and ride again, I'd have to do another week's isolation. But that's what it is to keep everybody in the game running and everything safe.
Yeah, exactly right. And what about at the end of all this? This weekend, do you have to go back into quarantine again, or sticking around in the city?
Look, I'll be sticking around in the city. The next 3 weeks, we have bookings in the city, which is really fantastic to see. I think I'm booked up to Kosciuszko, which is something I'm looking forward to. Good experience.
Yeah, great stuff. Let's have a chat about your rides on Saturday. We can go through them in racebook order. First of the day is Capital Rain. That's your ride in the Midway. And on a 3-race winning streak with this horse, you've got quite a good relationship. Tell me about the horse and its chances.
Look, he's a really quirky horse. He's very fast. He's won a couple of 900-metre races. It's a little bit of a test for him on Saturday. It's a little bit stronger company again from what he has been racing in. But he did win a Metro race at Newcastle last start. And he still was doing things wrong. As soon as he presents himself to the outside leg, he has a tendency to hang. But I am expecting him to run bold on Saturday. He's got a lightweight. It should be a little bit of sing out of the track, which will help him also. And I think he's on the improve. Like, I'm continuously, every time I ride him, he continues to show me more and more speed also. So I'm looking forward to riding him on Saturday.
Race number 2, Snitcat. Pretty hard to get sort of a line on this one. A 2-year-old filly who's on debut, won trial for a placing on the Kensington. What do you know about this one, and have you had a chance to have a look at that trial?
I've had a look at the trial and I really like the trial. Obviously, the winner in that trial was very impressive. But I have had a little talk to Gary about the horse. He sort of just said to me, it's got really a lot of ability. But obviously with these early 2-year-old races, they can be a little bit raw and things can go wrong. But that's okay. Looks like he's been working well, and he said he's a professional. So that's going to take him a long way in this race.
Yeah, exactly right. Race number 4, you ride a horse called Olympic Gaze, right down the bottom of the page for punters having a look. A horse that they obviously thought a little bit of, Alicia, because last campaign obviously ran in the Australian Derby. What did you make of that last run at Newcastle?
Look, he ran the best 400 metres that day at Newcastle, in that race, and they went really steady in front, and he's more of a horse where they come off pace and he really needs to wind up through his gears and be doing his best bit late. But the race didn't suit him. He sat in the trail. We got a little bit keen on the slow tempo. So this time over the mile, there's good pace in this race. We should see him off the bit and really hitting the line strong. It was a good effort. He looked like he'd come back well into this campaign, looking at him at Newcastle last start.
That was second up at Newcastle last time, wasn't it? In your opinion, did you feel there was a little bit more to get out of him third up, obviously, this weekend?
Definitely. Look, if it was 2,000 metres, I'd be a lot happier because it took me about half an hour to pull him up, and he was doing his best bit of work after the line. So the mile and the 52 is going to be suited. He's got a lightweight, which he will enjoy. But no, I'm looking forward to riding him. I think he'll be an improver.
At race number 7, things really start to heat up because we've got the Flight Stakes and you're riding a horse called Chill. You got a nice draw on this horse, but is racing at the 1,600 metres for the first time. What do you know about this one?
Look, I rode her very early on in her campaign. I did a couple of her first lot of trials, and I had a little bit of opinion on her then. She's really strong. She's a beautiful little horse. Look, we've got a really soft barrier. If we're going to get the mile, we're going to get it from a soft barrier on a steady tempo. I'm not too sure about the rest of the field. I haven't gone through it in depth yet, but she ran against some of these fillies last start, and she wasn't disappointing at all with Glen Boss aboard that day. I can see her getting a beautiful trip, relaxing. Anthony's horses generally do get the distance. That's one thing that he's good at, is getting them to that sort of peak. So yeah, she'll be an interesting one. It's obviously a very steady field. There's not much between them all, but it's who's going to get a really strong mile.
Yeah, and the barrier draw will obviously help as well. Race 8, you've got Arameo in the Group 1 Epsom, 51.5 kilos. And lightweights have such a good record in the race. That must give you a little bit of confidence. A really nice ride for a Group 1.
It is. Look, lightweights are pretty dominant in this race, up-and-coming horses especially, and Arameo's first 2 runs have been outstanding. His first run in behind Zaki, that was, I think he ran the best sectionals of the race, other than Zaki coming home, so that's really impressive. I think he dropped 6.5 or 7.5 kgs, which is massive. His run the other day, they went steady in front and sprinted, and he still was able to come over top of some of these horses, and it favoured the inside that day also when he was on the outside, so there's a lot of merit around that run. Be interesting, you get to the mile, it's something he's been wanting. I think it'd be better if it was a bit firmer footing for him. He's a little bit on the soft track. He doesn't really like it too much. But look, he's got a great barrier. The speed's on the outside, but should be able to end up nicely midfield somewhere.
For you, riding these lightweights on a big day, is there much that goes into it for you? Do you have to waste or do anything, or just naturally able to rock up and enjoy the day?
I have to lose a little bit of weight. I started Monday after riding on Sunday. I was 53.5 kgs. I'm down to 52 now, and I've still got another 2 kgs to go. So sadly, a lot of female jockeys are obviously very light. I'm probably on the heavier side of those, but that's okay. It's probably worth it on these days, obviously.
Do you stick to sort of what the boys do, jumping in the bath and having a sweat, or do you control it through diet?
It's actually been really good because I've had the last 5 days off. I've been able to control the diet to a really strict sort of low protein diet, been able to get it down, and also going for the runs and things like that, trying to get the weight down through exercise also. But I probably will back off Friday just so I'm not too fatigued for Saturday. And I'm just sort of aiming that last kg to be in the bath. That's sort of the water weight that I want to go, but I'm happy with where it's at the moment.
Yeah, in race number 9, you've got Charm Star, another lightweight chance for Chris Waller. I thought this horse hit the line really nicely at the 1,600 metres and looks ideally placed Alicia up to the 2-4.
Yeah, it's an interesting move going from the mile to the 2-4, but obviously Chris knows what he's doing. He's a phenomenal trainer. She looks like she'll thrive when she gets to the 2-4. That's her peak distance, obviously having 2 seconds on both the Oaks. Look, she last start, it was a really good run, I thought. She was really strong, especially the last 200 metres. And it was really great to see after the line. She was going past the rest of the field, which is what you want to see for her progressing into a 2-4 race. It should be interesting. We've got an okay barrier, lightweight. I'm imagining we'll be off pace, relaxing, and you'll be seeing her firing late.
What's the relationship like with Chris Waller? What's it like when the phone rings and he says, I've got 2 chances in 2 Group 1s for you? Is it a little fist pump at the end of the line?
Look, it's something my manager said. He said, I think we might have to do it. We might have to go into town. We actually intended on just staying out in the provincials for the next sort of 6 months and go back winter time back into the city. But when you sort of get opportunities like this, and with the circumstances we're in as well with COVID, obviously the lightweight jockeys can't come from Melbourne and Brisbane. So it's a great opportunity for me to pick up nicer rides in these races. It's a good progression step.
Yeah. Race number 10, Arapo, is a ride for Bjorn Baker. Fresh up, a horse who likes to roll along in front. I know some of your rides earlier on are sort of get back, run on types, but this one should be right on speed. And the fresh form is certainly piquing my interest.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Obviously, he wants a little bit of seeing out of the track. He prefers running on the soft track. but it'd be interesting. I think the 1200 meters could be a fraction bit sharp for him. I want to say he gets more to the mile, the 1400 meters, but it'd be interesting to see what Bjorn wants. If the horse is fit, I know he told me to go forward and roll along a bit. Just hope he doesn't stop with that light weight on his back. But the first up form is good. Look, he comes, I think he come, sixth against Rocket Clock, first up, fresh up last campaign. And it was a phenomenal run with Craig Williams aboard that day. So if we can do any sort of form to that, I'd be happy.
I'm going to put you on the spot now. Have you got a winning chance for us on Saturday at Randwick?
Definitely the horse in the first race. He's coming through the grades. He's very quick. And if he does things right, doesn't hang too much and put too much pressure on himself, he should be able to make the step up in grade, I think.
And for punters at home who are wanting your horse to follow over maybe the next couple of weeks or couple of months, and even, is there a horse that you're liking that we can watch going forward?
Look, there's a horse called Benno. He's a grey horse of John O'Shea's. He's an absolute beautiful horse. He come third on the weekend in the, I think it was a Group 2, wasn't it? Yeah, he come third over the mile. When he gets up to the 2,000, 2,400 metre mark, he'll be definitely a horse to watch. He come out of a narrow maiden to make that progression step was just, it was a great run. So he's definitely one horse to be watching.
Awesome stuff, Alicia. Thank you so much for your time and best of luck with all of those top rides on Saturday. We'll be cheering for you here in New Zealand.
Perfect. Thank you.
A big thank you to Alicia Collett for taking the time to chat to us about her key rides on Saturday. Best of luck to her at Randwick. Now let's take the opportunity to recap our best bets. Some really great information today on the form. Hopefully you've enjoyed hearing from all of our guests. We'll be back tomorrow, but it'll be Aidan Rodley in the hot seat for Saturday's edition of The Form.